MCP. There's a lot of buzz around MCP, and today I want to speak about what our vision at Clarity6 is with MCP and what are currently some of the limitations of the approaches if you plan to use MCPs. First of all, and this is the premise of the video, MCPs are currently solving for the wrong bottleneck. I think the bottleneck for Amazon sellers and agencies was never, I cannot get data inside an AI chatbot. I think the bottleneck still is the fact that SP API data is messy, it's scattered, is contradictory, and that it requires serious domain knowledge to actually make it meaningful. When it comes to actual limitations of the current approaches, number one, LLMs are terrible accountants. You ask Claude, what's my profit for SKU XYZ last month? It has to go through a huge volume of data to actually be able to come up with something that is accurate. But you have to realize that LLMs are also optimized to be efficient. So to make them efficient, what do? They cut corners. And cutting corners is not something that you need or want when you're asking very specific, very important questions about your business. So at this point, asking, for example, complex questions such as profitability for your Amazon business is not going to be helpful. You could do it, but I want to warn you that if you're relying on these numbers, you might end up making the wrong decisions. Number two, MCPs with or on AI chatbots have no memory. So what happens is you're asking a question today, which let's say you're lucky and it actually comes accurately. If you're asking the same question tomorrow or 2 weeks from now or whenever, it might come up with a completely different way of trying to solve this problem that you've given and a completely different answer. And that is because it has no memory. It does not know how it successfully answered a specific question. So it starts from scratch, and it is highly likely that it just comes up with a completely different method that is not as accurate as it was. Point number three is the current approach, or what we've seen as the current approaches, is that they're only limited to one marketplace. Now, while this might be helpful if you're only selling in US, for example, or if you're only selling in UK or Germany, could be fine. If you're selling on multi-marketplaces, you will have a difficult time. And the whole idea of having a useful AI chatbot / assistant is that it's actually able to X-ray through your whole business. If you have to ask questions marketplace by marketplace, deal with conversion rates and all that madness, it's not going to be very useful. So at this point, this problem is not solved, or at least not accurately solved. And point number four, and this is really, really important, is security. I highly encourage you to use a developer or speak with somebody that actually understands what they're doing before you share your SP API credentials just out in the dark on the web. The risk that you could face is that these credentials could be leaked, somebody could get access to your data, and then from there on, God knows what could happen. So with this in mind, at Clarity6, we're trying to solve all these issues. I do think MCP is very helpful, and I do think the whole concept will be very beneficial for all of us. I just think that at this moment in time, we are not seeing the full potential of MCP. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.